Good evening and welcome to the Whiskey Lovers Society with me, Gert Retief, and tonight we are looking at one of the nominations for the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, Best Blended Whisky for 2023. And of course you see that in the thumbnail. We're talking about Maclean's Nose, 46% ABV, natural color, non-chill filtered. And I was quite excited to get a sample of this one. Of course, I'm not home. Sorry about the sound. I did not bring my microphone. And I did bring a sample of it, a wee sample, just to keep myself busy on my travels. Now, I did do some videos on the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, all the different categories, all the different nominations, if you are interested in it, and to see what is my take on some of the nominations. And this was the first category that came up, and I saw Maclean's Nose. Now, I had no idea what it was, never heard of it, never seen it. So, I was a little bit surprised with that one. I see they only produce 25,000 bottles. Well, it's quite a lot of bottles, but in Europe, I've never seen that. And of course, at my online whiskey shop, I found a sample of it. They had some tastings, and of course, it's my luck that I could get a sample. So I thought, well, if it's nominated as the best or one of the best blended whiskies out there, I need to get a sample and give it a try. So that is what I did. I got the sample, didn't have time to do the review when I was still home, brought the sample with, and this is it. Maclean's Nose is a blended Scotch. It's a mixture between malt and grain whiskey. 70% going towards the malt side, 30% going towards the grain side. And of course, it comes from different distilleries. One of them, Ardnamurchan, and they have ex-sherry casks, ex-bourbon casks, bourbon casks from the lowlands, and in the end they add a little bit of a Campbelltown malt as well. So 5 different casks in this one, and I'm quite excited to give it a try. I did pour it maybe 5 minutes ago, and I must admit, when I first poured it, there was a little bit of a harshness in it for me. And some of my previous videos, I said I need challenges in my life. I'm done with the mediocre whiskies, and I must say that is definitely a challenging one. I did spend a little bit of time with it. I did try to see if I can find that little bit of a nuances coming out, that little bit of a taste going out. And it is definitely, for me anyway, it is unique. There's a strangeness to it. And there's also a little bit of a different notes that makes it sometimes a little bit difficult to put your finger on it or put your tongue on it. But quite a challenging one for me. The first thing that came to mind when I poured it, especially a fresh pour, there was a little bit of a salted licorice note came out for me. A sharpness of a salted licorice. A little bit of a sawdust that comes out. I also get a sweetness, but it is not an overly sweet whiskey. It's not something that immediately shouts out that it is a sherried whiskey. So it's still got that light notes of that ex-bourbon. I also get a little bit of a light green apple note. Now that alcohol level at 46% ABV for me is perfect. And although it is quite a youthful whiskey, from what I could find out, maybe 4 to 6 years old, so definitely not old. But on the nose, it does not smell that youthful. There's not that ethanol nail polish note on it. So well done for them on that. It feels like there's a hint of a smokiness, of a type of smoke that comes out. I'm not sure even if I do have a smoke in it, but I get a little bit of a smoke, and I get a little bit of a rubber note, a little bit of this rubber glove note that comes out at the back. The sherry, there's definitely that right at the back. If you keep on nosing it, you get acclimatized to the different flavors that comes out. I get that little bit of a hint of a sweetness, of a little bit of a raisin also at the back, but you really have to go look for it. Now this one is definitely playing mind tricks on me. My brain is in turmoil. It's looking in every drawer to see what I'm smelling. And I kind of like that idea of sitting, sniffing, nosing, and finding something that can, that moment that you can realize that is exactly what I'm smelling. And I'm having a little bit of a difficult time with this one. And I do like to spend a little bit more time with it to find that extra notes. And it feels like with a little bit of time in the glass as well, it does open up nicely. That little bit of a harshness, that sharpness is disappearing, and it's becoming more and more friendly on the nose. And I do like what I'm smelling at the moment. Definitely a challenge whiskey. There's a little bit of a dark honey note coming out, a citrus type of honey note that I get as well. Now, well, of course, we need to drink it as well. So on the taste, on the Maclean's Nose Blended Whiskey, cheers. The first thing that I do get, I think is a little bit sweeter on the taste, but immediately I get a little bit of a sour note as well. A little bit of a sweet and sour note coming out. Let me give it one more try. There's a nice little bit of an alcohol burn. There's that 46%, I think it's perfect for me. I'm definitely not going to add water to it, but immediately on the second sip, I can feel the little bit of a tannins coming out, a little bit of a bitter note coming out. So definitely not a whiskey that for somebody that's going to tell me I don't like bitter whiskey, well, that's me. I'm not a big fan of too many of the tannins. This one is quite bitter on sip 2 already. And with time, every time you go back, it's going to be a little bit more bitter note. So be aware of that. If you don't like bitter whiskies, this definitely not going to be for you. There is a little bit, I just want to make sure. There is a little bit of a harshness to it for me. And it's not alcohol related. It feels a little bit, my taste buds are being pulled in all different directions. Everybody in the pool is trying to get my attention, and I think it's a little bit overwhelming for me. It's overwhelming the taste buds. I don't know if it's sweet, I don't know if it's sour. I get a little bit of a chocolate note, I get a raisin note coming out, I get a little bit of an apple note coming out. And then all of a sudden, that bitter note attacks you, a little that espresso bitter note that you have, not a taste, but just the bitterness of it that comes out, and it is a little bit off-putting for me. And every time when I go back, it feels like it elevates that bitter note, and it makes it a little bit more bitter for me. And I'm not sure if this is something that I like or not. The nose for me is really getting better every time that I go back. There's a more sweetness in it, a more subtle notes in it. On the taste, I also, afterwards, if you give it a little bit of time, you get a little bit of a vanilla note. You get a little bit of that green apple note as well. A little bit of a creamy note. Just want to make sure. Burnt caramel, definitely there. And that sourness, every time that I get knocked with a little bit too much of a sour note for me. My thoughts on this one. On the nose, it needed a little bit of time just to settle down and get rid of that little bit of that harshness for me. And once it's done that, I kind of liked it. It's really inviting, soft, sweet, and a little bit of that strangeness. But with the taste for me, definitely not my cup of tea. It is, the harshness is there that's a little bit off-putting for me. That burning notes that comes off it. I love the fruity notes, but it feels like there's too many or such a big war in my mouth trying for my attention. So definitely not for me, but I presume it's on the list for a specific reason, and I think a lot of people do like the bitter notes. If that's you, then of course go try it, buy it, but definitely a big no for me. And well, that's me on the Maclean's nose. What do you think? Have you tried it? Is it something that you would recommend for your friends? Do you agree with my notes on it? Do you think it's my notes are completely wrong? Well, tell me what you think about it. Is it something that you like? So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, share and subscribe. And of course, if you want to contribute to the children in South Africa, we have a Patreon account as well. So have a look and help support 75 children to go to bed with a full tummy. So thank you very much. Cheers.